it just, to me, it came natural. And even with, when I worked for Riverside Plastics, the mold work. Because of my dyslexia, it was a gift really, because I could see things in reverse, and you needed to do things that way to manufacture the parts. So I sort of excelled in that. In my life at age 34, when everything was going great for us as a family. We had a business aerospace business with 57 employees, doing work for Grumman, Aerospace, Republic, Sikorsky Helicopter, and McDonnell Douglas. We were doing real well. It was a good year, 1970. And all of a sudden, everything fell apart with the business. Got in trouble on a contract, went into a recession, and within a very short time, trying to salvage the business, I ended up with double pneumonia and got knocked off my feet for the first time in my life, where I couldn't help myself. Everything was breaking up at the business because of the problem with one contract, and also a contract administrator's done it was illegal and got us in trouble that way as well. The sheriff came, put a padlock on the door, and all our employees were gone. And for 8 weeks, I was laid up with double pneumonia. I guess it was maybe the first week of that ordeal. I had 104 fever, and I couldn't get it down for about a week straight. But I remember one night just crying out, "God help me, I hope you're not another Santa Claus." That's exactly what I said. I wasn't a religious person. I went to church, but I wasn't, just it was a routine I did every week. As a family, we did, wife and 6 kids, off to church. But I didn't know that you could know God personally. But anyway, I cried out, "God help me, I hope you're not another Santa Claus," and I knew that night He was real. I still had 104 fever and was laid up for a number of weeks. Actually, it was about 8 weeks I was laid up, recouping before I got out. When I got out of bed, the doctor thought maybe I had a nervous breakdown, because I had a joy and a peace during the rest of that ordeal while I was laid up in bed. But I wanted to know this. I knew God had touched me. Something had touched me that I never experienced before. I had a peace and a joy in my heart, and yet we're in this mess. So, first day, it was a weekday, I remember, and I said, "I'm going to church." "You're going to church?" "Yeah, it's not Sunday." So at 6 o'clock Mass, I show up at the door at the church and go in and find myself weeping, crying with joy, not knowing, understanding what's going on, but something touched me, and I wanted to know this God that touched me. And that was the beginning of a journey that's going on for over 40 years now. I ended up going to church every morning, to Mass every morning. I became a sort of religious fanatic. They thought I had a breakdown or was on the verge of a total nervous breakdown. It wasn't a normal thing to happen to people within those conditions. Anyway, everything was staying. Our car was towed away. Having the house had to be auctioned off on the town hall steps. We were going around looking for places we could rent. With a wife and 6 kids, nobody wanted to rent to us. So we didn't know we were going to be out in the streets or not, but Uncle Ernie was able to win the house at an auction on the town hall steps, and we stayed there. And it was, I think, 7 or 8 years later, we were able to gain possession of that little old house we raised 6 kids in on Cedarwood Drive in Huntington Station. But anyway, that was the beginning of a journey. Now, what do you do when you have lost everything? You really literally lost all the material things, and you didn't even have a car. And somebody did give us a car, an old beat-up car that it ran, and it was a car. And when the house was auctioned off, that was another miraculous thing. It went for, they needed 10% of the amount by Friday. So Uncle Ernie, we didn't have the money, needed $26,000 by Friday, or Thursday, Friday. a week later, after the auction. We won the auction, or Ernie won the auction, so we have the house, but you have to pay them 10% down before the closing, or they re-auction the house off again, and you have to pay penalties. Where do we get $26,000 going to bankruptcy? By Thursday, we had more than that. People at church turned in insurance policies, gave it $3,000 here, $2,000 there. But by Thursday, I said, enough. And the mortgage did come through because it was already approved, but it hadn't been signed off. And I was able to give everybody their money back 2 weeks later. And just incredible how that all worked out. Then comes along charismatic renewal. Meantime, I was going to church every day, and being I was so religious, they sent me to seminary to be an extraordinary minister in the church, which I took very serious. It was, you know, at that time I was just very sucked into learning about this God. And I got my first Bible to a Jerusalem soft cover Bible. It was about yay thick, and reading that all the time. But then the prayer meetings came along, and I started going to prayer meetings, and all that, how that happened, and marriage in Canada, and anything to do with God, I wanted to get involved with. Went down to the library and got dogma books out. Wanted to find out what the religion, faith in Christ was all about, and the church was all about. Anyway, that was a start. I didn't get the PTL equipment, but after losing my aerospace place, and that was from the basement to this over 12,000 square foot place, prime contractor for the government, all the aerospace work and all that we were doing, that was growing rapidly. And that was our best year, and everything was looking forward, and that's when everything hit the fan. Now I look back on it as the best thing could ever happen, because I had in my office an L-shaped bar, which was fully loaded, with a padded thing that Uncle Ernie built for my office. So, and I ran a business like I thought you run business. I got my authority out in the shop by cussing this guy out, cussing that guy out. I wasn't a very nice person as far as language. I was in Navy Reserve. I learned how to cuss real good. 8 years in Navy Reserve. At home, I never would cuss or swear. I was one person there. At the shop, I was a different person. Well, all that was gone. All my kingdom there was gone. And just before all this happened, maybe it was 6 months or so before, a neighbor, Dick Kelly, his two sons played with our kids, and they knew that I had a machine shop. And Dick Kelly was a foreman for New York City Housing Authority, in charge of the team that went out to do repairs on the City Housing Authority elevators. He had come over to the house one day and he said, Bob, I heard you have my son told me you have a machine shop. I need parts desperately. I got elevators down, I can't go, I can't get the parts from Otis, I can't get the parts. Can you help me out? As a favor, I did one job there and got him off the hook. And then I did maybe 1 or 2 other jobs. I didn't know anything about elevators. He gave me something, can you make something like this? I made it for him. It was a nuisance in a sense. I didn't really want to do them, but I did him a favor. And got, a couple bucks for it. I was doing big bucks, I didn't need little. This was a distraction to me. But now looking back, it was the thing that got PTL started, because after coming out of that, what do you do now? You're nothing, you got nothing. Where do you start? You owe over $250,000 over your head right now and all that. And we had nothing. Anyway, elevators pops into my mind. Maybe Dick Kelly, maybe I'll talk to Dick Kelly and see if I can do something with elevators. I didn't have a machine either, but I was able to get my little machine that I started the other business with. I got my little machine back, got it back down in the cellar. I saw Dick Kelly and said, maybe I can do stuff for the Housing Authority to help you guys out. Not knowing that the New York City Housing Authority is the biggest housing authority in the world, over 250 projects, over 5 boroughs, and thousands of people working for it. I got a Centrex book for him, which gives all of the information of where the offices are, where the shops are, the maintenance shops, and all that. And started to go take a ride in the city, told me, you know, where the maintenance shops are down in the lower level in the basements of the main headquarters where the superintendent of the project is. So he gave me instructions on that, and I went and found where they were. Walked in the shop. Hey, my name's Bob Coronato. If you need anything, I have a machine shop. And then I started out making little plates. What I do, they had a procedure for emergency stuff, all the elevator shops. If they had a tear down or something where they couldn't get an elevator running, the emergency thing where they get a CMN, Certificate of Necessity, just automatically give it, it's up to $250 can be used on it. That's all, the emergency purchase. So I started getting a CMN number here, there, and looking at the stuff. They're giving me pieces to make. I go to a scrap dealer, get some material, make the parts, send them in there. Most times I deliver them, do surveys, look at what they needed. And I'm looking at all these panels that anybody can build stuff better than this. They're breaking these panels up left and right. So then I started to work on designing wall plates. And anyway, I'm designing some wall plates, real primitive, but they're made out of aluminum, not brass or bronze, but they couldn't break them too easy. So that led to, this guy's got a vandal resistant thing, it's made out of aluminum, they're not going to steal it more. And word got around, and I got around, and within a little over a year I was dealing with 100 projects, about 100 projects. And getting certificates of necessity, $250 a clip, that takes a long time to make money. Anyway, and doing this in the basement. So we got too busy for the basement, we moved into the garage. And then I added a couple more machines. We just shortened this down, then to a storefront, which had 500 square feet, which isn't a lot. So we had no room in there, and then into a small industrial shop on Broadway and Huntington Station. And they added some more machines. And within a couple of years, we had no space there as well. We just continued developing that real primitive unit into a more sophisticated unit. And then the City of New York Housing Authority decides to, stainless steel is much better, much more durable than aluminum. So they took my spec of 1/4 and 5/16 aluminum and the vandal resistant button I designed and said they wanted stainless steel. No way could I machine it in my little shop. No way could I punch holes in that kind of material. So I told the head engineer of the Housing Authority, Joe, you just put me out of business. They said, if I can make it out of 1/8 stainless, would you buy them? Would you buy them? He said, well, look, give me some sample, and if you want it, give you a shot at it. Meantime, they send all the bids out, 1/4 inch stainless steel. And you know, if you take a car panel, maybe a little over a foot wide by 3 feet high, it take 2 guys to lift it up. I mean, it would be heavy, plus the machining cost. So anyway, I found a place where one of the machine shops locally, I got a couple of scrap pieces, about 2 by 2 stainless steel, 1/8 stainless, 10 gauge stainless. Got a piece of stainless steel rod, machined on a lathe, a button, and then and also the plate, put a hole in it. Couldn't get the thing to work without sticking. And I worked on it for a couple of weeks, and I finally found out, well, if I put a plate behind it and has more surface, so I call that retainer ring. The retainer ring worked. Mounted the switch on the back, bought 2 of these in for him to evaluate, and 2-3 weeks later, thumbs up, you got it, Bob. Other people have bid, they couldn't bid against me. I mean, I got these lightweight things, and who wanted it? I don't think a lot of them wanted to even get involved with it. But anyway, that started off with the heavy-duty stainless steel, and then that was modified again and again to what it is today. That became the standard when they sent out PTL or equivalent. And that style today is they have to have vandal resistant. But they're very much in the industry. There's various variations of that, but it all started out with the PTL, positive stop unit. And In fact, like a couple of the foremen helped me out in developing, refining it, because, Bob, maybe it would work a little better this way. So I take their tips, the professionals, because I know nothing about elevators, and put them into play in there, and that's how it started. And this is what I used to go to the different projects, show them what we make, and kind of design. Nobody had these, as far as I know, the demo thing that they could bring to a project or any place. That was my thing. I would show the elevator people. Meantime, we didn't do any work for Otis or any other elevator people. It was housing authorities started. Now, all the elevator companies have sample case type things like this that they demonstrate their stuff with. So that was an innovation I came up with. So the foremen would be down in the basements of these projects, their main building. So I'd go down the ramp and go to their office, open this thing up, show them, and they'd say, yeah, I could use some parts for you. And I'd go and measure what the size was and everything. They would put the orders in. I'd go back an hour drive from Huntington Station to New York City. So I put a lot of miles on to get it, one job or two jobs or three jobs. This one day I was out here in Long Island, out here in Long Island, and I was getting ready to go into the city. It was like 10 o'clock in the morning, but I was doing my paperwork, and two guys come up to the office there, and they looking for me. This is early on when we were just starting, and I had this case, and I was going around with it. They were well dressed. They came in looking for me, and said, "Is Mr. Coronato here?" "Yeah." The girl says he's in the other room. So they come in and said, "Mr. Coronato," and he pulls out this piece, actually pulls out one of these. He says, "How much do you want to make these for us?" I said, "That's my part." He said, "We know that, but you have no patent on it. And, you know, we'll give you first shot at it." They evidently knew I wasn't, you know, just beginning and all that. But anyway, they wanted to steal the product. They said they wanted to take it. So I got real upset, and I couldn't say anything. I just I didn't know what to do, because I'm just starting a business, and this guy comes along and wants to take it away. I said, I didn't say anything really. I was, you know, I was like, I'm dumbfounded right now. I didn't know what to tell the guy. And we were going to tell Irene when they got home that somebody's going to steal the product. So they said, "Look, we'll give you," they saw me stuttering there, and they said, "Look, we'll give you a week or so to make a decision. If you don't hear from you, you know, we'll get someone else to make them." So they leave. Like I said, well-dressed suits. Never saw them before. And they go, it's like a little after 10 in the morning, and about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm going to be up in the Bronx at a high-rise project, two-building project. That's where I was going. Now you're talking over an hour away, 250 projects, 5 boroughs. I'm going to a project in the Bronx. And I didn't know what they were driving or anything. I pull into this big parking lot in this two-building project up in the South Bronx. There's a big parking lot too. I pull up alongside this van, open the door, and I had a little beat-up Volkswagen at the time. Open the door of the Volkswagen, I get out, and the van door opens at the same time. Same guys. And they start cussing me out. "Why did you follow me?" This is hours later. 30 some odd miles from where we're at Huntington Station, 250 projects, 5 boroughs. I didn't know what they were driving, and I pull up alongside of them, and all the way to the ramp going down to maintenance. Don't lie, you followed us here. Honest, I'm a total wreck, because what am I going to do? Already nervous. They're stealing the product. Now I meet them a second time. I go down to my elevator shop down the hall, and they continue walking down. Evidently they did business with the city. I didn't see him after that. I come out after I haven't seen the foreman and get the information I needed, get in the Volkswagen and say, I'm in the furthest project in the northwest, east part of the Bronx. So I go to Adams Houses, which is 7, 8 miles away from there. And meantime, I'm looking around for that car, that van. And I was in a panic mode, and not as a Christian already, not thinking of God at all, not just panic, total panic, not praying, nothing, just panic, total panic, a wreck. I pull up to Adams Houses, park the Volkswagen, and it's a parochial school, elementary school there, and all the girls are out. Where are you? Right in the pathway where you have to walk to go down the ramp. They're with double ropes, jump ropes going. And I can't get around them except if I skirt along the building. So I didn't want to disrupt them, so I double step with this thing in my hand. And watching them, and I come around, and at the corner of the building, I smack solid into one of the same 2 guys and hit him in the hip. He jumped back, grabbed his leg, and they literally turned and bolted and ran. Never saw them again, never heard them, never stole a business. What I found out afterwards was that they were the salesperson people that with a major company that sold all kinds of detergents and cleaning fluids and stuff for the maintenance people in these projects. So it was a big company. And as they were going project to project to sell their fluids and their cleaning stuff, they were starting to see these wall plates and these panels I was making into, wow, this might be a good business to jump into for themselves. And evidently, after running into me 3 times, meeting me 3 times, they never called me, never saw them, and PTL continued to go. And it was just, how can anyone orchestrate that kind of a thing over all the mileage? No, and it still breaks me up every time I think about it. I remember getting in the car, I was literally weeping and crying like a baby, praising God. And my eyes were getting blurry driving and praising God. And only God, and I'm driving along, and when I had to stop for lights, people were saying, this guy better get off the road, he's having a breakdown. But that was just one of many, many things. Also, there's dangerous times too, where there were muggings in the city. I went into areas where they call them battle zones, where there's a lot of drugs and stuff, in some of the Bronx especially. And one time, I was at Brownsville Housing, and it was, went down to maintenance shop, the foreman was there, it was lunchtime. This was another one that was very close. I did this for 19 years, and I never got mugged or anything. I used to go in with a certain shirt and tie and jacket, dressed as a businessman. I didn't go in work duds. I always went dressed up with my sample case and usually a pad. Anyway, we went into Brownsville Houses and went down into the shop. All the men were there having lunch, and it was payday, Thursday. The foreman was there, and one of his guys had broken a couple of toes. One of the weights, the counterweights in the elevator fell on his foot or something. So he said, Bob, I got to take this guy down to the hospital and get that foot looked at. I'll see you, I'll talk to you Monday. This was on Thursday. So he left, and I did talk to the other mechanics for a few minutes, and I walked out. And as I got up the ramp, coming out, there were 2 guys standing there. And they turned to me and said, come here, I need to talk to you. Come here, I need to talk to you. Normally I would have turned and talked to them, but something said, get out of here. My hair went up on the back of my head, and I bet there's something wrong here. So I turned toward the car, which was across the street, and just sort of double timed it. I said, I'm too busy, I can't really stop, I'm in a hurry. And one guy started to follow me, and then he stopped at the curb and turned around and went back. Monday morning, I got in the car and I took off. Monday morning, I got a call from the foreman. He said, how did you get out of the shop? I said, what do you mean, how did I get? As soon as I left, 3 guys came in armed. I only saw 2. So the other one might have been around the corner of the building, I don't know. But three guys came in, pistol whipped one of the guys because he didn't get his wallet out fast enough. Sent him to the hospital and robbed all the guys that were down there. So I said, I don't know, I met two guys that wanted to talk to me at the top of the ramp. He said, as soon as I left, he said, these guys came in. So again, I think God intervened to keep me safe on that one. A couple of other times, but there were incidents over that many years. But nobody ever touched the car, nobody ever mugged me. Walking through these projects alone, shut down elevators. I knew that there had to be God's protection over the years to keep us safe. Backing up, going through the bankruptcy and all that. Previously, we never went on vacation because I was always busy building this business for the family. So I'd get up early in the morning, go to work, sometimes 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning. You guys weren't even up, the kids weren't even up for school. And I get home sometimes 7, 8 o'clock at night, and mom's putting them, you're putting them to bed. So I was putting 14, 16 hours a day, and sometimes more than that, to build a company for the family, build this for them, for us. Not really in the neglect of the mom really raised you guys. How she put up with it, go to God, heaven sent, because never really took a vacation. And when I was in bed with the double pneumonia after I had that experience, I started one night, I remember saying, stupid, 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 you almost killed yourself. You almost killed yourself. It was after that we started taking vacations. With a car that shouldn't have left Long Island. In fact, the one time we had a radiator went before we even left, we had to fix it to get off Long Island, and then we got stuck on the highway with it, the transmission went. And that was miraculous too, because here we are in, I think it was 91 or one of them, I was up there, and they have these call boxes for emergency, ambulance or police or whatever. You punch the thing in and it gives you a signal back that they receive it. Anyway, we're driving up the main, Cockatoossie. The car just starts slowing down, comes to a stop, and smoking like crazy. Big station wagon with the canoe on top and everything. There's a red stream behind it. The transmission fluid, the transmission seal went, and it just poured the transmission fluid out. Bobby went and used that thing, pushed the button, and we're waiting for a wrecker to come. Nobody shows up. He pushes it again and again. Nobody shows up. Maybe about 20 minutes later, a guy does pull over. His car's going by all the time, but no service people. This guy gets out with a suit, or dressed up in a suit, walks up and says, "What's your problem?" I said, "Well, not going place. There's all the stuff on the road, and the steam is coming out of the engine, out of the transmission." "Well, I guess I can't help you." Gets back in his car and takes off. Bobby's still pushing the button, nothing's happened, nobody comes. Well, maybe 15 minutes later, the same guy pulls up behind me, gets out of the car with 4 cans of transmission fluid, walks up, and when I see him coming up with the transmission fluid, I reach for my wallet. I said, no. This is on me. He says, a few miles up, there's an exit. The first exit you come to, and you don't know if the car's going to go anyplace yet. He says there's a Chrysler place there right at the exit, and maybe they can help you. And then the thing that blew me away, we didn't have any stickers or anything like we're born again Christians or anything on the car. He said, "Keep praising the Lord and have a good vacation." He walks away. Who is this guy? It leaves us. So now how do we get this stuff into the car? Bobby, ingenious. I had a magazine in there. He fashions a long funnel. Most of it went into the transmission, but we lost a lot. But enough got into the transmission and stayed in it that we get the car rolling again. And we get to the exit, pull in, and it's steaming. The guy, maintenance guy at the dealership, he says, "What you need?" I said, "Well, I explained what happened. Fluid ran out on a highway, and a guy came along, gave us 4 cans of fluid. We got it, were able to get it in, and we're here." He said, "You drove it here, and it's still going?" He said, "I wouldn't be able to get this car till next week. I'm loaded down, and it's a major job, He says, look, if it got you here, I suggest maybe you go and right next door was we get a case of fluid and a funnel. And he suggested every mile or so just check it and add fluid. We started out a very short distance and we had to add a little fluid every once in a while. But we ended up going quite a ways before we added fluid. Not supposed to happen. When a seal is cooked and it runs out like that, they're not supposed to go. We used that car for quite a bit longer. We got home and other things like meeting at Carmel that one trip. Another trip where we had no money to go on the trip. We had no more money left and we're upstate New York. And Irene has a cousin, Grandma has a cousin there on Lake Carmel. And so we're near that area and we had no money even for gas. We called home, there's no money came into our, so we're broke. I had no credit cards, forget about that. Anyway, let's see if we can find their home on the lake. And it's foggy and we're riding around the lake and we can't find it. And so we can pull up to a bar. Go in the bar and ask if they knew this couple lived. And the bartender said he didn't know who it was. There's a guy drunk sitting on a stool, drunk. I know where they are. And he explains where the house is to us. So we're going down this very narrow road heading for the house, and where he said the house was, and a car comes, almost hits us, pulls alongside, Mom's on the passenger side, stops, Mom puts her window down, she puts her window down. It's her cousin, coming all the way up from Manhattan, which is a couple-hour drive. She left the wedding, left her husband who was sick and who had drank too much, and came all the way home by herself and met us right there while we're looking for the house. We stayed there a couple of days and they put us up and got enough money to get us home. From there, I could go on and on, but the thing that God did was change our lives. It caused changes in all our kids' lives and now in all their families, where God intervened while we were building these things and giving us insight into, giving us favor over and over again, that it became now a major fixture manufacturer in the country. From a basement to a garage to a storefront to a small industrial building to Tacoma, Georgia, buying an elementary school and now sending stuff all over from there. And quite sophisticated stuff. Elevator fixtures. That's it.
That's it.